What's up everybody, Jesse here on Custom Built with JR. Today we're going to be talking about the balance function of this Miller Dynasty 200DX. So we've got aluminum on the table, and so I'm going to go through what you need to do to set up your machine to be able to run aluminum, and not only run aluminum with your TIG welder, but at the same time we want to be able to make sure that we can dial our machine in to get the best results possible. And today I purposely grabbed some dirtier metal so that you can see how this machine can really help aid in making sure that we have the best weld possible regardless of the material we're working with. So polarity for aluminum needs to be AC. So I've got it on AC, process, TIG HF impulse, that's TIG high frequency impulse. We have to be on high frequency to enable AC welding to work. So on older style transformer machines, like a older Miller Syncrowave or something like that, what you need to do is locate the switch that says high frequency, and it'll typically have three modes. One will be off, one will be start, and one will be continuous. You need to be on continuous, or otherwise that AC wave will not work. Now there's a bunch of science behind that I can explain more in another video, but today we're going to give you just the down and dirty stuff you need to know to be able to enhance your aluminum welding. So output is going to be remote standard. Basically what that means is when I push the pedal in, it's going to turn the arc on, and when I let the pedal off, the arc will go off. The pulsar we're not going to use in this video, however we have covered it in another video, so if you want to check that one out, I will have the link in the description below. Feel free to check that out and learn some more about how you can really make sure that you take your welding to the next level with a machine like this that has all these settings. Sequencing we're not going to have on. Again, we will cover that in another video, but for this job we don't need it. Gas and dig settings. So this is going to be a fairly thick job that we're going to be doing here today. This is 1/4 inch material, so I'm going to want to make sure that my post flow is going to be set to a point where it's long enough to where when my tungsten is still cherry red, that gas is still flowing. So how this works is when I'm welding and I decide I'm going to stop, I let off of the pedal, and that post flow determines the time that the gas continues to flow out after I'm done welding and I've let off the pedal. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, and I see that is at 2. I'm going to turn it up to 4 just to make sure we're covered. If you're welding on really anything light gauge or sort of just normal application, your standard settings will work, but I like to make sure that my tungsten is covered here, so I've turned it up from 2 to 4. So now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today, which is the balance and AC frequency functions. So how the balance works is it basically reads out how much time you're spending on the penetration side of the AC wave. So AC positive is going to be cleaning, AC negative is going to be penetration. So you're telling the machine how much time you want to spend on penetration versus cleaning. So 99% of the time with this reading, we're going to be doing penetration focus. So what that means is that if my material is dirty like it is today, we're going to see a much dirtier weld as a result. Then what we're going to do after we demo this 99% setting, we're going to turn it down to about 60, where I like to run for the dirtier aluminums, and we'll show you how much that setting, just changing that little bit, can change the outcome of your weld. You won't have a bunch of black soot sitting on top of there, or at least not as much, depending on how dirty the material is. We're going to run 99 on the balance setting, and we're going to show you what 99 looks like on a dirty piece of metal to really exaggerate the effect that this setting can have. So as you can see here, there's a lot of black smut that floated to the top here, and that's because we're not spending much time on the positive side of the AC wave cleaning this material. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this setting down to 60, and we're going to run over here and show you what that looks like and how big of a difference that can make. So you can see here, we still have some black smut because this is a very dirty water jet edge, but it took me probably a quarter of the time to weld this because that metal was flowing so much better. And you can see, if you look here, this is called cathodic etching. So you can see that's cleaning out in front of the bead, and that's one of the big indicators that you're going to look for when you're welding to make sure that you've got the setting right, especially if you're on dirty metal. If we go back over here, what you see is this puddle leads right into the smut that's in front of it. There's no cleaning happening before the weld actually hits it. So what happens then is all that stuff gets mixed in with the weld. And so now you're trying to basically jam filler in there and make up for the fact that the metal doesn't really want to stick together because it's full of dirt. Again, what you want to see if you're welding dirty metal is a lower number on your control panel indicating more cathodic etching and cleaning action going on, and that's going to translate to much better welding results. And you can see this weld here, while not perfect, is still much cleaner than the original weld, and it's about as good as it's going to get on some nasty metal like this. Now if you're going to be running on some just nice clean metal like this here, you can run 75% all day long, and the balance setting doesn't really make as much of a difference. But again, if you're running on some dirty stuff or like a water jet cut edge like what we've got here, you see a huge difference in how it welds and the quality in which the weld looks at the end by enhancing that balance to the correct setting for the basically dirtiness of your material. So always remember, positive side of the AC wave is cleaning, negative side is penetration. So again, the lower the number on your machine as far as the percentage that it reads out on the control panel, the more cleaning you're going to do and the better suited it is for welding dirtier metal. Now keep in mind, once you go below 60, what happens is when that cleaning is increased, it actually also increases the heat that is put into your tungsten. So on a newer style machine, it'll actually read ball on the control panel, and that's because when you get down to like the 50s, it'll actually put so much heat into your tungsten, it'll ball the end, and it'll round it right off as opposed to keeping a nice sharp tip. When you're on dirty metal, you're going to want to make sure that you go down to that 60-65 level because it's going to be a lot easier to weld, and the weld that you get that you show all your buddies at the end is going to look a lot better than what it would have been if you're up at 75 to the 90 range.